I often hear from meat eaters that they just love the taste of, you know, some type of meat, whatever it is, and cheese. Well, I'm here to tell you that your palate does change, and a lot sooner than you think. So, what are we waiting for? Cue the intro. Hi, Fee here, the healthy vegan author and creator of the Gold Card Vegan Club. Now, 1,000 years ago when I was young, I absolutely loathed and detested olives. Honestly, just really couldn't stand them, and I would avoid them like the plague. I thought they were revolting, and I didn't understand how anyone could actually eat them, especially just kind of like on their own. It wasn't until I was in my late 30s that I happened to go out with some friends. Beautiful older couple took us to a very, delectable restaurant and treated us to dinner as a way of thanking us for something we did. Can't remember what, and besides, it's irrelevant to the story. Now, the first thing that they did after choosing, a lovely wine was to order quite a sizable antipasto platter. On it was a selection of foods such as, marinated and grilled vegetables, Italian bread, olive oil with the balsamic swirled through it, and, you guessed it, a large bunch of different olives. Now, because I didn't touch any of the olives, the woman said to me, just help yourself to the olives. They're gorgeous. To which I responded saying, not a fan of them, so, I'll pass. But, she sort of like persisted. She said, when did you try them last? A long, long time ago, I said, but I didn't like them at all. That's interesting because that was when she told me that our taste buds change over time. And something we didn't like before, we can like now. Then she asked me, do you prefer sweet or sour? So, of the two, I said, probably go for sweet. In that case, try one of these. And she pointed to a green olive. And I remember distinctly her saying it in a beautiful Italian voice, and it was something like Castelverano or something like that. But she said, it's more of a sweet olive. So, I picked it up and I tentatively took a bit. And it was meaty and it was buttery, and actually I was rather surprised the beautiful mild flavour it had. So I then obviously got a lesson in all the different olives as I tried each one. Now, this was a real eye-opener for me, understanding that indeed our taste buds can change over time. But hey, you don't have to wait decades like I did for it to change. It can be as quick as a couple of weeks. The reason is that the buds or cells naturally expire and regenerate every 2 weeks. Now, however, as we age, the regeneration slows down, meaning that the cells still will die off, but you don't grow quite as many back. The different combinations of cells will mean different experience with food. So that's the other thing to know here. When I was transitioning to vegan foods, before I went vegan, I really liked the taste of dairy, especially in my tea. Cup of tea in the morning with cow's milk was just beautiful. So I found it really challenging to have soy milk in anything. And in my and soy or coconut were the only options back in my day. So one day I was taken, so the tea and coffee, it was a real challenge for me. But one day I was taken to a hole-in-the-wall coffee shop by my son. And there I just went in and I just ordered, my coffee, a flat white, and I didn't think anything of it. When we sat down to wait for our coffees, my son, who is vegan, who was vegan then and vegan now, said, oh, I forgot to mention that soy milk is the standard here. If you want beast milk, and that was his word for dairy, you have to ask. So I looked over and I saw that the coffees were already being made, psh, you know, all that sort of stuff was going on. And I said, look, don't worry about it. It'll be fine. Yeah, okay. The barista was the best. Probably had a quality soy milk and excellent coffee, because it was the most awesome coffee I'd ever had. And from that point on, I never looked back. So I was quite happy to put soy into my coffee. Still couldn't do it with tea, and so I just switched the tea out, the black tea that I had, and I have peppermint tea now. So hey, that solved the issue of the dairy. But it certainly only took a couple of weeks for me to get used to the taste of soy milk in that coffee. When I first started making my own almond milk, it did take a bit of perseverance to acquire the taste for it. Simply because, there's not as much fat in it either, which flavours it, and there's more fat in soy milk than what there is in almond. But it worked. Mind you, I'm still sticking to the soy in coffee, and I'm just letting you know in case I ever come to your place sometime soon. There's been a couple of times over the years when I have bitten into something I thought was plant-based, and immediately I could taste the dairy. For me now, of course, it is such a sickening sweet taste that I have no desire whatsoever to return to eating or drinking it. If you're transitioning to a plant-based way of eating, then don't give up on the different foods that you're now trying. If you tried something in the past and not liked it, perhaps it's the way, you've cooked it. I'm talking about taste here, not texture or smell. That's a different thing altogether. So if it's something, as I said, if it's something in your taste, give it time and try it again. And you should start getting into it by the second 2-week period. Now, I had a similar thing with mushrooms, still do actually. But, and it's a big but, I now like them grilled with balsamic glaze and happy, and I'm still happy if they're already in something. I still don't like them sauteed or as a sauce, but that is the smell. It's not necessarily the taste. So if someone else has done it, I'm probably okay with them. The point is, try a different way of cooking. So for me, with the mushrooms, it was actually somebody grilled them with this balsamic glaze on the top, and they were absolutely gorgeous. So, try a different way of doing it, and you might surprise yourself. Point is, don't give up too early. And now it's time for the wee bonus fact. Continuing on with another story, still to do with food. Now, recently I went and got my blood work done, which is something that I recommend vegans do once a year or once every 2 years, depending. But at my age now, it is once a year. Oh, and perfect, da-da, of course they were. But I also had my blood pressure taken, and what do you know, it was high. Now, I go to a plant-based doctor, and she was rather taken aback, as she knows what I eat, that I am 95% whole food. So we talked about what I could do to try and bring it down, because it was just, it's going to be done with food. It's not going to be done with meds. So it was decided that I would up the intake of beetroot, or beets as some people call them, and start drinking hibiscus tea. So both these things I did. With the beets, I got beet powder, and I made smoothie every morning, and decided to really ram this home and put probably about a tablespoon of the stuff in. Okay? It's actually a really nice smoothie. Now, I had hired a blood pressure cuff, and I set about taking it sort of 3 times a day, different times each day, and I did it for 2 weeks. Went back to the doctor. She was delighted with the results. Yes, it had come down, and it was sitting at a very healthy rate. Now, why am I telling you this? It's because I constantly hear how blood pressure and heart disease, etc., is hereditary and or it comes with age. Now, yes, there can be a genetic disposition to this, but it's this much. It doesn't mean that you have to get these diseases. My father had high blood pressure in the later part of his life. My siblings have it. They're all on medication now for it, but they have a completely different diet. It would stand to reason that I would get it. However, what is hereditary here is the food that's eaten. So we eat the same way that our parents ate because that's what we've been taught. That plays a massive part in the person's predisposition to how their health is. I also have the unfortunate label of white coat syndrome, meaning that my blood pressure goes up when I'm sitting with a doctor, because when I went back with these great results, the doctor took my blood pressure again and it was off the charts. Should have been dead. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you got something from this video, you know what I'm going to say. Please share it, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe, clicking that notification bell so you don't miss the next one. Choice of videos here. YouTube thinks this one, I think this one. Go for it. Remember, have great food, make it whole plant-based, and be compassionate to all animals, including humans. Bye for now.